going to show you how we deal with our field-grown trees. I have often taken you around the nursery to show you our growing fields, but most of the plants that we have been growing in pots. But these are trees that are actually growing in the ground, and I have never shown you how we deal with the trees that are growing in the ground. So all this debris, again, you may not believe it, but this is all this year's growth, and underneath here are the actual bonsai which are being developed. So all this 8-foot stuff is going to be cut back to about here. So we'll cut it with the saw or with the loppers. We'll cut all this off. These are elms. I think these are Chinese elms that we grow in the ground. But what I'm trying to show you really is a bit of treasure in here. You may not be able to see it, but inside here there is a massive, great big tree. If you can look at the trunk there, that trunk is absolutely massive. It must be about 2 foot or more in diameter. And this has grown here for the last 30 years. Ever since I came to this nursery, I planted it as a young sapling, no more than an inch thick, and I have taken endless air layerings from these trees, and it has now grown to about 15 feet high, and I'm going to make it into a bonsai about 6 or 8 feet high. So this is going to be one massive bonsai, and we will also take it out with a digger come the spring. But this is still in the middle of winter, but we will still work on it. So before we get to that, we've got to get rid of all this stuff. So with the loppers, we're going to cut all this off, and this is going to take some time, but I'm not going to show you or waste your time how to just cut this debris, because this is just cutting all this off. This will end up as firewood, and then we will get to the real stuff in there. So we are clearing all the debris from here, all these long new shoots that have grown during the year. These are the elms and English field maple, and in there is the great big hornbeam. This is all the debris that we've cut off from the new shoots of the field maple and elms, and this will be composted or chipped or burnt. And we've removed all that so that we can get access to this massive tree, and you can see the beautiful trunk in there. Showing you on the screen is not quite the same as showing it in real life, because what you see on the screen is only two-dimensional, but the three-dimensional aspect that you get when you view the tree is quite different. I've still got to decide which is going to be the front, so I'm looking at the tree from every angle. We have made several cuts, and I'll explain to you where we've made the cuts when I get someone else to hold the camera. But this is where we're just clearing all the rubbish from around the tree so that we can get a better view of what we're doing. It's only when someone stands or sits near the tree you realize how big this subject is. So this, believe it or not, is going to be the subject of our bonsai today. Absolutely massive. This is another beautiful hornbeam.
About here, Peter.
Yeah. This is how we make the taper. We grow a piece about 3 to 4 feet or more high, just to pull the sap up, and then we cut it, and then we make the taper from there. So if my friend Padma Priya holds it up, you can see that long piece. That's the piece we cut off, and that is used for making the taper. So this is how we make the taper, gradually cutting away. And I think the tree leans that way, so I don't think we need that one. We could either air lay that. Maybe we should be a bit frugal and make a tree from that bit, but that bit will come off from there. So this is going to be another nice tree, but this will probably be dug up in the spring. So that's another hornbeam we've got there, and we'll get back to this tree. So what we can do now next, if Jack, you can clear all that debris from here, all these little bits, just to show the trunk. We don't need those. With the saw perhaps.
Yeah, so.
And as for saws, we love our silky saws. So this is the silky saws that we use. They're not cheap. Each saw costs about 66 pounds in the UK, but we go through them maybe 4 or 5 a year because we use them literally every day. And when we use the saw, we always make sure we have the gloves around. So we're just clearing the base to reveal that beautiful trunk. All those little bits around there can go. All that, even the one at the back. We'll pull the ivy off the tree. Okay, all these can go. All these little branches from there. All those can go, yeah.
Twiggy bits.
Yeah.
Did you take a picture of the rubbish? I think that's just...
Yes, we're just going to trim back some of these long shoots. If you can kindly do this for me, Padma Priya. Yeah, to about there. All of them. So we can see what we're doing right round. This is a very interesting tree for many reasons. I want to create a large bonsai, but you are always tempted to keep these thick branches. But from some of the other YouTube videos that you've seen, I always explain that you should keep thin branches because they give a better contrast to the trunk and it makes the trunk look bigger if you have thin branches. I am faced with a dilemma here because I've got this thick branch here and this thick branch here. If you come close, you'll see this. Now these thick branches may be tempting to keep, but the trouble with keeping thick branches, it makes the trunk swell here. Because we've got so many thick branches growing here, it's made this swell, and I've therefore got almost an inverse taper. So this part is thicker than this part, which is bad. So although it looks nice, I think I'll have to get rid of this one and have to get rid of this one. So we will, I know we are tempted, we can make an ailing from this, it'll make a beautiful bonsai, but I've got so many, so I'm not bothered. So we'll get rid of this, maybe keep this one. No, what the hell, we'll get rid of all of them. Get rid of all these. So pad with this chainsaw. Big one at the back. And that thick one at the back as well.
Jack, can you just pull that one out for us? Thank you.
So that's all we're getting rid of. All these thick branches are not much use. We've made all those cuts. So again, all those thick lumps of wood there, that makes for an inverse taper. It will swell the trunk. So although it is tempting to keep it, I still think we're going to get rid of all of them and just create a beautiful trunk, and then we'll let the branches grow again. So those two big ones and the ones at the back. So I've now removed all the thick branches and I've got down to the bare trunk. So the question is, do we make a large bonsai 8 feet tall, or do we air layer it and get two short bonsai about 4 feet tall? We could make the bonsai, we could air layer the tree from here to there and get one bonsai out of it from here to there, so it's easier to handle, and then this part will make another beautiful bonsai and that let a new leader grow, or have a full-size tree, which will be very unusual because we've got so many thick trunk hornbeams about 3 to 4 feet high. So let's see what the consensus of opinion is. What do you think, Padma and Jack? Shall we keep it as a big bonsai to be spectacular, or shall we have two small trees?
I'd air layer it and get two small trees.
Otherwise one is too hard to handle.
Yeah.
All right.
We got to carry it around the nursery, Peter.
So we'll probably do an air layering exercise here. But it's very tempting to have a great big 8-foot tree. So I think we'll carry on cutting all this because we don't want these to create inverse taper. So if we make a bonsai from, say, here, it would make a very nice tree. It's got beautiful movement, so we can identify a leader there. So lots of possibilities. Still, I think that big lump at the back, if you come around, I think that can be taken off, isn't it? Otherwise it'll cause inverse taper there.
Yes, yeah, I can see
at
that.
the back.
Yeah.
So these are the decisions we have to keep making when we look at these field-grown trees. But because they grow so fast, they grow at the rate of knots, you don't have to worry about new growth. They will make new growth in no time, absolutely no time. So we will proceed by cutting those off. That means we got the base of a tree, we will dig it out and we will get a very nice thick bonsai out of that. So we will proceed to cut. While we are doing this video, I just noticed that this air layering has taken, look at the beautiful roots, and this was done on one of our air layering classes. Barry has made this air layering, so it's very successful. So I'll take this off. We will lop it off over here, please, Pat, and I'll pot it. And then we'll remove some of the thin branches and show you what we have here. So that's going to be a lovely bonsai, lovely tree, got a lot of movement, and we will shape that. And we will show you some of these very thick trunk bonsais here. We've got lots of them. So we are continuing to cut off all these thick branches because these thick branches are only going to create inverse taper. And if I count the rings, that thick branch, which is at least 4 inches in diameter, counting the rings, it looks like 1, 2, 3, only about 7 or 8 rings. So this much has been produced in 7 or 8 years. So it just shows how fast these trees grow. So there are lumpy bits here that will have to come off there, and we're going to take that lump off. So Padma Priya is going to cut that off with the chainsaw. I'm not advertising the chainsaw, but these are battery operated chainsaws, much safer and as powerful as the petrol chainsaw. So this is what we're using at the moment. So we're cutting this tree back to the line. So with horn beams, the trick is always just to cut back to the trunk line and let the branches grow again. So this lumpy bit we're going to get off, and all those other thick shoots will come off because they will only make inverse taper. So all we want is a good taper rising all the way. And at the top, I think we can take this one off and keep that curly one.
Yeah.
Eggs.
That can come off, all those thick. That thick one, and that one. So you're kicking back there to make the taper. So in this area, there are all these horn beams that have been growing in the ground for the last 30 years. Some of them we use for making air layerings. That's an air layering in the process of being made. This is really tree surgery more than anything else. So from all that debris, all we have extracted is the beautiful trunk of that tree. So we've decided not to make a tree 9 foot tall, because although there are bonsai this size, in China they make bonsai of enormous size, but I can still keep my options open. If I do want a bonsai this size, I will grow it this size. Let's see when we dig it out. We will dig it out in the spring, in February. Mid-February perhaps, and then we'll put it in a pot if we can get it in a pot. I'm sure we can. And then we will see how it grows and probably do air layering. But I'm still tempted to keep it as a tall bonsai, but we have our options open. So just to recap what we've done, we've taken all these thick branches off because they were causing a problem of inverse taper. So however tempting it is to keep them, we've decided to remove them. So we will grow new branches from it, and within a year we'll get lots of new branches. So all this cutting and chopping has created taper. So people who ask, how do we create taper? This is how we create taper. We made the first chop down there, then we get higher up to make a chop there, and then we keep chopping it to get the taper. So wherever we chop, a new branch grows which is thinner, and that's how taper is created. And over here we've got about 20 large horn beams, all with massive trunks. That's got a massive trunk in there. You can't see it because of the debris. But they will all end up as beautiful, beautiful bonsai. So this is an exercise to show you how we create these large hornbeam bonsai. And we're looking at creating taper, and Padmapriya is just doing more cutting, and this is how the taper is created. So that's the new leader which is growing, and that will pull the sap up, and this creates the taper. So we're going to cut these off so that the taper is more gradual. With this tree, you see there is a lot of inverse taper forming here because there are lots of branches growing here. So we can cut all these off and make an air layering so that the base will be from there.
Yeah.
So all these can come off, and we'll air layer it there. Because we are in the countryside, we are still allowed to burn our hedge trimmings and bonsai prunings. So that bonfire is all the prunings that we have done today from that hornbeam and all the brush from the field maple and Chinese elms. So this is how we make our bonsai. We make the taper. See, the new shoot is pulled up, and where we had a lot of those twigs there, that's formed a nice bulge, so that's going to be a lovely base. So we're going to air layer at that point. So that lumpy bit there, the tree will start from there. So although it may be a fault on the main tree, this becomes a nice bonsai from here. So that will be the base, tapering up there. So we don't need the whole thing, so we can cut it off over there. About 4 or 6 inches above. And then we grow a new shoot to form the taper for next year. Can cut lower than that even. Okay, all right. We give a choice of several shoots to grow from there. So although it may look a bit ridiculous, this is how bonsai are formed. You have to form the trunk. The trunk is everything. And then the branches are easy to create. So this is all about creating the beautiful trunk line and then starting again. So this is an air layering that came off from the top of the tree. So I'm just going to give it some shape. We don't want the thick branches because they're easy to grow. So let's see which is the best shape from there. It's got a lovely trunk line. So probably that's going to be the bonsai, and we're going to take the wrapping off and pot it up in the greenhouse. So let's see what there is in here. So this gentleman Barry has been very successful on his air layering class, and just to show you all these beautiful roots, look at those roots, absolutely fantastic. Mind you, we had several people do this class. Some people were more successful than others, so it depends how much cambium they removed. So there are many factors which create good air layering. And there you are, look at that. Bound to be successful.
Yeah.
Ready-made bonsai in 6 months.